So, I just made my introduction video, and now it's time to make my first real video. Yay! Can I get some streamers or something? I have string. I can... Woo! I have string all over me now. That was a bad idea. So, you guys may or may not know about the upcoming con, Boston Comic Con. It's located in Boston, Massachusetts at the Seaport World Trade Center. And it is going to be my second year going to it, and it's going to be awesome! I am going to be there for 2 days, and I am going to be cosplaying. The second day, I will be cosplaying as the character Rin Nakamura from the anime and manga Blue Exorcist. So, I decided to make this video to talk to you a little bit about the costume. Most of all, teach you how to make a very important piece of the costume, and a very important piece to many, many other costumes out there. And that piece is the tail. A lot of characters have tails, especially ones from video games and from anime. And although the tails may be pretty easy to make, I still decided to make a video in order to show you guys how I did mine. This may not exactly be the perfect tail for a lot of characters, but this is going to be my Rin tail. So I'm going to show you guys how I made it, and you can make one too if you want to. This is my cosplay crate. Every con I empty it out, and I fill it with all the things that I will need for next con. Alright, so one of the things you're going to need is some kind of fabric. I use felt because it's easy to use. It usually comes really cheaply in huge amounts, and it sews very well. Next, I suggest you get tape. It's going to be really, really helpful. Don't get duct tape because that shit sticks. You don't want this to stick too hard. Next, you're going to get some kind of wire. I don't know exactly what type of wire it is, but it's really, really useful. It's thick. The only issue with it is that it's very, very dirty, and if you jab yourself, it's gonna hurt like a bitch. You're gonna want some kind of fur for the end of the tail. This stuff I purchased at Michael's. It was cheap, but it actually turned out to be very thready, which I am not very happy about, but it still worked out in the end. I actually just had to get up and get these because I left them over in the corner, but you're gonna want to get foam sheets. Now this stuff you can get very easily at Staples. It's kind of expensive because I got a box of 100 because I'm using it for other costumes, but like I said, they're foam sheets, and they're really, really great. And lastly, you're going to want to get thread and needle. I don't know where my needle went. Found it! So the first thing that you want to do is measure out the wire. Leave about 3 or 4 inches from the end of the felt, so that way you have room for mistakes and for the edge of the tail. So when you finish that, cut it. I'm not going to cut it because making that tail took way too long, and I'm not going to make another one because I don't need to. So just bear with me, please. Then, you're going to do it again. Flatten out the wire as much as you possibly can before cutting another sheet the exact same length, or as close as you can possibly get. It doesn't really matter how close the wires are together. The thicker the tail, the more you're going to want to separate the wires, but also the thicker the tail, you're going to want to add more wires to it. For this tail, I only used, I think, 2 wires, and then I added a bunch of others for the end of it. After you've gotten them all nice and weaved in, you're going to want to add the foam sheets. This is where the foam sheets and the tape come in. Where'd my tape go? I lose my phone in my bed all the time, and then I just pick up the covers and it flies out, so forgive me if I lose things. So what you're going to want to do is wrap the foam around the wire as close as you possibly can. Make sure it's nice and smooth as well. This is so when you put the felt on it and finalize the tail, it'll be a lot smoother and fuller, and the wire won't come through and try to stab people. You can just tape that up nice and normal. You can actually use duct tape for this part, but I used this instead because it's thinner and it's easier to just peel off. So wrap that around as many times as you need it. You might need to use 3 or 4 sheets depending on how long your tail is. If need be, I also recommend electrical tape because this stuff works really well. After you finish with that, it is time to sew the tail together. Obviously, you're going to wrap the felt around the edge of the tail, and then you're going to have to sew. It's going to take a lot longer than you think it will. It actually took more than 1 day to do it. So, wrap it around at least 1.5 times and then cut it from there. And then you have to sew it. I suggest for that you tape the ends of it and then sew it, and then you can take the tape off and it'll already be sewed and you can just make your way down it. Now, it's time for the end of it. Now, if you have normal fur, it'll probably be a lot easier than this, and it'll probably be a lot simpler. But this is if you have the thread kind of fur, which actually works really well for a Rin tail. Now what you're going to want to do is stretch it out around 2 feet. If it's too long, then you can just snip it all off when you're done. So what you're going to want to do is take your thread, put your hand in the middle, and just continually string it back and forth until you have a bunch all just dangling down. So what you want to do is take the tape that you have, like I said, electrical tape works really well for this, and then tape the base of the tail so it sticks out straight. Then take your lump of string, wrap it around with the electrical tape, tape it to the tail, and you're set. And the last part of this, I actually need someone to demonstrate with me, but I do not have that person with me, so I can't do it right now, and I apologize for that. But that is actually connecting the tail to your piece. Now, this is actually a lot more wire just wrapped around the edge of the tail. As you can see, there's a bit of blue tape in there just to tape them together. Now, if your cosplay does not have a belt and you can't hide one and it doesn't have belt loops, I have no idea how to help you. I am sorry for that. But if you can use a belt or you have belt loops, this is going to be a lot easier, especially if you can use a belt. Because Rin's shirt is so long, especially because I got a medium and I'm 5'1", I can pull off a belt. So what you're going to want to do is take this base of the tail right here, and you're going to want to put it through the belt loop and loop it around the belt as many times as you can. Once you have it placed on, check it for the balance. See if it stays up by itself, and if it doesn't, you're going to have to add more wire. If it does stay up, then have the person that you're with angle it for you. Congratulations, you officially have made a tail. So I hope that I did okay for my first instructional video, and I hope that you guys will be able to use these tips in the future. I promise that I will be making a video relating to Boston Comic Con later on. So if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share. It doesn't really matter to me. Do what you want. It's your life, but it would help me out a lot. And if you want to, you can even follow me on Twitter. The link is down in the description, along with my Instagram and my Facebook page. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye! This is actually a disaster. Oh my god, what was I thinking? I don't even know where half of this stuff is coming from. This is so bad.